Hello, fellow foreigners. It's Emily, it's Peter. We're not here living in China, not trying to discover it. One of my favorite things in the conversation about China is complaining. And better than that is complaining about complaining. Like as if life wasn't hard enough. Let's make it even harder.
Yeah, an Ouroboros of complaining.
I don't think we've complained enough so far. I think is the problem. That's why our ratings are so low. So you have to subscribe because we're going to complain right now. Here we are, hopefully at the end.
That's a promise.
At the end of the coronavirus. And I mean, there's all kinds of problems in the world, right?
Yeah.
The governments don't give a shit about you, so you don't have to worry about them. They're not out to get you. The corporations are out to get you, but they just want your money. They don't.
And we don't have any money.
So we're all set. Our water just keeps going out.
Yeah.
We're trying to get over the coronavirus. We're trying to wash our
hands.
hands, and here we are not able to wash our hands.
Yeah.
Sporadically throughout the day. You spent the morning scrubbing the nickel deposits or whatever it is that on the...
I don't think they're nickel. I think it's calcium. It's a mixture of calcium and rust from the water going off and on.
And it keeps plugging up our stuff.
Shaking up the pipes.
It's terrible. The things that we have to go through. I mean, now the one bastion for Western culture here in Luzhou, Pete's.
Yeah.
It's over.
We got the news. Peter's Tex-Mex Luzhou is closing on March 15th, which is, as a casual dining chain of Western style food, it's like your average Chili's or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you know it if you're here in China.
Yeah.
If you're back home in the West, it's it's not fast food, but it's not fine dining.
It's like fast casual, I think.
Fast casual is the name of it?
Yeah. Like a Friendly's, to get more regionally specific.
Yeah, they got treats. They got a lot of, which...
Yeah.
It's,
and it's not so much like, it's not the greatest food, but it is the only place in Luzhou to get like good enough Western food. And so it was kind of like the representative of like, oh, Luzhou's getting more international.
Right.
And then,
we all have
no, it's not.
We have the 𝗖𝗵cie, we've got the KFC,
yeah.
We've got the McDonald's.
Those are international, I guess. 𝗖𝗵cie is Japanese, I think.
Yeah, we've had those since we got here 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And we quickly outgrew those.
Yeah.
To like, it's definitely something like on the way to the plane at 3 a.m. or something, like kind of food. McDonald's.
Yeah.
Never eaten at a KFC, so I don't really know about that. 𝗖𝗵cies, don't even touch it.
Yeah, 𝗖𝗵cie is not that good.
So yeah, we left Luzhou and we came back after a year, and lo and behold, here is this Pete's.
Yeah.
So there's tacos, there's real hamburgers, there's
all of it.
Real?
Well, and the food, they are, and before we get too complaining, I know that's what everybody's clamoring for. The staff there was so kind to us. They were like, and that was the thing. Going there was not really about the food so much as like being in this environment where like they would treat us to Thanksgiving dinner every year. I think we've mentioned, and
because
they were just like really nice people.
We've gone to the other chains, particularly in Chengdu.
Yeah. And
we were like, I'm not going to Chengdu to eat there. And if I'm in Chengdu, I'm going to find a better place to eat. So we rewrote
the food was a lot better when we still drank margaritas.
Yeah. So
that's my review.
We wrote them off before they even got here. And then we
Yeah.
came back and we were like, oh, well.
It was exciting to have in our town because it was like just something different. And they were, according to our friend, because it is such a small expat community, our friend told us because the manager of Peter's called him to tell him that they were shutting down. So, and I think, I mean, they're also like selling off their equipment, so if he wanted anything. Or if we wanted anything.
Because it's a chain that you it's a franchise, right? Like
Yeah,
you
an
could, like we could
employee.
go in and buy it if we wanted to, but
Yeah, well, that's what he
it's
was
always
trying
a
to
smart
get
thing to
together.
buy a restaurant that's going under. But
Yeah. And they were in trouble before the coronavirus. But this is the thing, is like, that's who these closures are going to affect, are people on businesses, restaurants on the bubble. Because that's the current idea, is like restaurants and social gathering places aren't going to open back up till May. That's the plan at this point anyway. So, yeah, if you can't afford to be out of business, you're...
which is, I mean, and again, this is a chain.
Yeah.
So it was, I'm sure that everyone that worked there that was so nice to us will find a great job somewhere else.
They're like really hard, great workers.
Yeah.
And now they speak English a little bit. They speak menu English anyway.
Yeah.
So they can put that on their resume.
Yeah. So like, it sucks for them. I'm guessing. I mean, a lot of them have worked there for years now. So if they like their job,
Yeah.
that really sucks. But it's also a chain, so it's not even like, I mean, it's not like a ma and pa kind of thing.
Right.
Which, more importantly,
right.
over the 8 years of seeing how often, I mean, restaurants, they go...
Oh, restaurants open and close.
Yeah, anywhere.
In the blink of an eye, all over the world.
But
know it.
Luckily, for us being... I mean, that's the first thing that you're going to really gravitate towards, are the restaurants and the ma and pa restaurants. So when they... culturally, that's the thing that we're going to first, because we keep going night after night after night. And we've seen so many of them close over the years that, like, that's what really hurts. Like, when you go, and it happens so abruptly.
Yeah, you go one night and it's great, and then you go another night and it's a different restaurant.
Which I guess, Western-wise, I mean, if we got the call from a friend who got the call from the manager, that we've never had that much warning that a restaurant was closed.
Right, yeah. So we already ordered once the other night. The night we got the news, we're like, well, I guess this is the last taco night. We'll probably get a pizza tonight, and maybe even one more time before the 15th.
Yeah.
Although as we get close to the 15th, I don't know that it's a good idea to keep ordering.
Yeah, some of the food is...
Not that it's like off, but it's like...
It's hastily
it's
prepared.
definitely like a scrape together. Like, what have we got left?
Yeah. When things like chicken fingers and stuff are no longer on,
yeah.
you're kind of like, the salsa's looking a little white.
But is it? Yeah, those were like not the best tomatoes. But that's the thing. That's the interesting thing. If you live in a place where you are the expat community, or if you live in a place with an expat community, it's interesting to see the threshold, because we've gone around China, and generally these places, if they do attract locals, it still is like at least half foreigners. So if you're gonna open like a foreign restaurant, you have to have the local community that's going to support it. And I think that's where Luzhou is maybe on the threshold, but it's not quite there, because we had a good Italian restaurant that was empty all the time, and part of it was they were too expensive for this market. But it also
the imports alone is just like to get an Italian flavored meatball.
Right. Oh, those were good meatballs. So.
Or prosciutto meats or anything like that. Like, it's just like, you can't make that here. Salsa and stuff you can. We've got the hot peppers and lots of cilantro.
Yeah, you can make that from scratch, because all those ingredients are locally grown.
Which I wonder why, or if a Tex-Mex place maybe was able to produce some of its stuff here. Like, I mean, I felt like salads and things were probably like those McDonald's baggy, you know how McDonald's like has salads and stuff like that. They're a little freeze dried or something,
I don't know.
maybe.
No one's done a what's not Supersize Me, the other book about McDonald's, the good book about McDonald's.
The good book.
Of like how their business model works. I don't know if Peter's is like aggressively negotiating with farmers to get their lettuce at cheap prices.
I mean, some things like the little flowers on the top of the dessert, the salads, like
the zucchini flowers
and stuff like that. I might think that that's fresh, because we have a billion of them around.
And I wouldn't imagine those travel so far.
Right, and the same thing with fresh salsa. Like, it's definitely fresh cut salsa.
Yeah.
And we saw them progress from the last few years of like trying to figure out how to make Mexican salsa. They're making pretty darn good Mexican salsa.
Well, and like we could tell, like there's one chef who was better than another for a certain period of time. Like, so don't go on that one guy's shifts.
Right.
But it is like, so Luzhou isn't quite there, which is kind of why we lived here.
Yeah,
it was like a bonus to like come back and be like, hey, margaritas. But we didn't want to move to Shanghai. We didn't want to move to even Chengdu, although I want to move to Chengdu.
I mean, we love the big cities. We're from New York. We love big cities, but
we kind of wanted to see.
When you've lived in the best city in the world.
Yeah, Luzhou.
Oh, I can't really feel all that bad about, like, it was nice to have the option, because if you were looking at Chinese food, like that's our local food.
Yeah.
And in a way, even though we eat Chinese food and we try to go out as often as, like, many times a week, we eat Chinese food, local food for lunch almost every day. Having the option to go get a taco or a hamburger is fine. I'm not that broken up about losing that, but
yeah.
I mean, given the choice, I mean, I'd rather go out for hot pot because it's fresh and it's good.
Well, that's the thing is that in our personal usage of a local Western restaurant that delivers to our house, we fell back on that as a crutch way too often. And I mean, this is why it's not anything about. Shanghai is a really cool city, and I would love to go back and visit there. We've been there before, but that you and I are such creatures of habit that, like, if we get stuck in an expat rut, like, it's hard for us to break out of that. So it was our choice to, like, come to a place where that wasn't possible, so we'd have to push ourselves all the time. That's not how all people are, but that is how we are.
Right. It's you get busy with stuff, depending on wherever you are, and you're going to get busy with the stuff that is around you. So if you're going to be around tacos all day long, I'm going to eat tacos all day long, because that's
it is all, like, most of life is a matter of proximity.
Yeah. I don't really want to be.
So we needed to take our proximity away to, like,
right, and then
kick our butts to
which we got
to explore the parts of this country that we moved to see.
Which we got very used to.
Yeah.
Until the mall plopped in.
Yeah,
and then now on top of that, we have Mexican food, we have all the different American foods and soups and salads and everything like that all were in this one restaurant. But on top of that, we've got Dairy Queens and Starbucks and Burger King and H&M and Adidas and all that stuff.
Delicious.
Kind of just all poured in this one mall. And then two malls, another mall across town where the same things pop in. And I think it's great for the city. And it was sort of surprising to see that, like, that's a thing that happened when we were here. Like, people went to.
It didn't feel that way when we got here, and maybe they're wrong because Peter's is closing. That, like,
that's the thing. Yeah.
Luzhou, like, furiously expanded, but it's maybe a miscalculation.
Because when we first got here, we thought, like, well, there's the hot peppers are everywhere. And there's cilantro everywhere, and there's beans everywhere, and there's
onion. I see where you're going with this.
Why don't you just put them all into a salsa? Why wouldn't you? The Chinese here in Luzhou would love. No, not actually so much.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason why they went to Pete's and it was busy at all, which was sometimes busy, like on the weekends on a Saturday night, was because everyone was there for the cakes and actual milk desserts and ice creams and stuff like that.
They did have, like, their Mexican food was so-so, but their cakes and ice cream were.
Yeah. Well, even
they were really good. I mean, maybe we'll get cake tonight.
Even the Mexican food, like, we were at, I don't remember the name of it, but, like, one of the must go to places in Hong Kong and in Chongqing. Like, we've been to Mexican places in all the big towns that we could go to. It wasn't like they were much better. The only time once was the long gone Thailand now living pug. That was in Chengdu.
Oh yeah, they did good.
Wasn't actually Mexican food, but they really went out of their way to make something that you just couldn't get anything around.
Well, considering when we lived in Lijiang, there was a man called the Mexican.
The Mexican.
It's made.
Who was Mexican?
Yeah, he was Mexican. So it wasn't inaccurate, but if there's only one in the whole country.
Or at least that province.
That's why Mexican food's not taking off.
Right. So it didn't actually.
Answered.
But it's going to be so we're going in a way backwards. Like it was a jump forward to like think like, oh, so things are becoming a lot more westernized than we ever expected to in Luzhou.
Yeah.
And then, but I guess not.
Yeah, because then there's like our supermarket, the one underneath the park. It's underground. It's not. They
Underground, man.
for a while had a
cool
huge import grocery section that they don't have anymore. So it is like we're back in a situation where it's kind of hard to buy tomato sauce again.
Yeah, and some of it is like, especially with coronavirus stuff, is a little like it all kind of happens in this one wave of like
it's hard to like draw definite conclusions from this specific.
Which we found out that Pete's was not doing well before that, but like you have this situation where like we've been trapped inside for months. People are worrying about their jobs outside, like not teachers, but like
well, that's
actual
the thing
local
is like
people.
this gets to be like fun snow day for us because I'm still drawing a salary. If my job was in peril, and you know, we could get to April and they might be like, well, we did the best we could, but I can get another job in a pretty
I mean, people there's all across the country.
But
people
this
are
would
dying.
be a hard time to be unemployed, I think.
If you're not a teacher.
Or anything. Yeah.
I mean, teachers.
Not that there's ever a good time, but like you can't go job hunting right now.
Right. But teachers, I look on Facebook and everything on Facebook is just like 100 million people are looking for 100 million teachers to start right now.
Because they all left.
Because they all left. So, yeah, you've got the benefit of that. But the actual people that live here are worried about their businesses are closed and their restaurants are closed. And I mean.
Yeah, and that was the gamble that the government took with aggressive containment.
Right.
And that, like I said,
and the argument that the West is having that, like, we're not going to do that. No one's closing.
Yeah, I think, like, in the Atlantic or something, there was an article about how, like, Americans are not going to stay home from work if they're sick because they need a paycheck.
Yeah, I saw that one, yeah.
Whereas, like, I don't know, set up some kind of work from home deal. You can't let sick people come to work. I didn't like that even when there wasn't a scary Chinese flu coming to get you.
I have rarely worked in a place where someone said like, "Oh, you're sick, stay home."
Yeah.
It's always like
I always felt like when I would stay home they would be like, but like no one else in the office wants my germs and I don't want your germs. So that's a soapbox again. Wash your hands while you're on that soapbox, Emily. But yeah, that sick leave policies don't.
Well, and so instead of tonight, we'll eat pizza if we can. But usually, what we do?
Oh, we just like eat.
We eat what?
A tall pile of vegetables. A tall pile of vegetables.
What,
what are you getting at there?
What do we?
Over noodles to you.